Fiber artists, I have a secret little tip for you. If you're like me, you've probably experienced the dreaded feeling of running out of yarn mid-project. It's even worse when you can't obtain more of the yarn for some reason. For example, if it's in a specific dye lot, or even worse, discontinued. I'm going to show you guys a tried and true method to get more of that yarn that you thought you could never get your hands on. And I would know because it worked for me. First things first, you're going to need a Ravelry account for this tip. I know a lot of people don't like Ravelry, and I don't disagree that their UI is a little bit confusing sometimes, but as someone who's been on Ravelry for upwards of 15 years, I've learned a lot about how to use the website, and it's actually pretty powerful if you understand the use cases. On Ravelry, you're going to go ahead and navigate to this Yarns tab in the top, and then search for your specific yarn that you're looking for. I'm going to show you guys the example of Knit Picks Chroma, which is a yarn that I was able to find on Ravelry. So clicking on the specific yarn, you're going to go up here to Stashes, and under Stashes, you can do any sort of search filtering that you want to do. For example, you might want to look for a specific color family. You can also just search for the colorway name. In my case, I'm going to search up Tiki, which is a discontinued colorway that I'm looking for. And I think you should also start by switching up the status name to Will Trade or Sell. This is going to bring up any people that are already willing to sell their yarn, who are already looking to get rid of it. And as you can see in my case, it actually doesn't show up any yarns. I will say if you're looking for a more popular yarn, for example, let's look up Knitting for Olive and look at the stashes here. Let's filter to Will Trade or Sell. And as you can see, there's 6 pages of people who are willing to trade or sell their various colors of Knitting for Olive Merino. However, in my case, this is a little bit of a less popular yarn, so there aren't any people who have Will Trade or Sell listed under the colorway that I'm looking for. So I actually ended up just switching the status selector to in stash, and as you can see, there are 4 pages of people who do have this colorway in stash. Obviously, a lot of people under this status of in stash aren't actually looking to sell their yarn. However, you can still DM people and ask politely and nicely, you know, are you willing to sell this yarn? I'm willing to pay face value or whatever price you are looking for. And in some cases, you might find someone who's willing to sell. In my case, I was able to find someone who was willing to sell. And you can just essentially click on the person's profile. I'm sorry for putting this person on blast, but you can go ahead and click the message option and message them asking if they're willing to sell. And that's it. Obviously, there's no guarantee that this method will work, but it definitely increases the likelihood that you'll be able to find that rare discontinued yarn that you thought was gone. This can also even be a useful way to get discounts on yarns that you have your eye on, since it's possible someone may be selling that yarn and willing to let go of it for a lower price. I definitely think this is worth a try if you're looking for a specific yarn and haven't been able to find it elsewhere. And you can follow me for more knitting and fiber arts content.